Welcome back to Andalusia. In this video, we're traveling to the beautiful city of Córdoba, once one of the most important cities in Europe and still today one of the most fascinating places in southern Spain. We'll be exploring its most iconic landmarks, including the Mezquita and the flower-filled patios, before heading a little beyond the city to discover some unique places you shouldn't miss. A hilltop castle and our unique and peaceful countryside stays.
Welcome to the vlog. We are now in the Andalusian hills, somewhere extremely remote. This is our view. And even though this vlog is centered around the beautiful town of Córdoba, which we will be visiting tomorrow, we just want to start the vlog with us here at our accommodation. This is an absolutely unique place to come and stay. Obviously, when you visit Andalusia, there's always places to stay in the cities, but we chose to stay somewhere a bit more remote, just so we can actually experience both the countryside and the city of Córdoba. We are very close, maybe about 45 minutes drive away, so...
Yeah, and I have to say, I didn't expect the Andalusian countryside to be so beautiful. The drive here was so serene and so beautiful. There were olive groves all over, flowers. It really resembles Tuscany, but it has a lot more olives.
In this vlog, we'll show you all around this place that we're staying in. We're staying in this sort of like a glamping situation, and also in another stay within the same property. We'll show you both because they're absolutely magnificent and you really have to see them. But until then, we'll just have our dinner here and we'll continue the vlog with us in the morning, starting fresh, driving to Córdoba. Walking through Córdoba today, it's hard to imagine just how powerful the city once was. During the early Middle Ages, especially under Muslim rule, Córdoba became one of the great centers of Europe, a capital of learning, trade, architecture and culture, with a population that was enormous for its time and far larger than cities like London. Later, after the Christian reconquest, the city continued to evolve, leaving behind an incredible mix of Islamic, Jewish and Christian history that still shapes Córdoba today.
Welcome to Córdoba. We just arrived and we are in awe of this town. Everything is so pretty, so well kept, so manicured.
Everything is very beautifully decorated. We are now walking through the old Jewish quarter, but we will come back right here. We're in a bit of a rush because we arrived a bit later than we wanted to, and we're in a hurry to get to the Mezquita, the really old mosque/cathedral combo.
Which is basically the main attraction of this town.
Welcome to Mezquita. This is the Catedral de Córdoba, and it is an absolutely unique construction. There is nothing like this anywhere else in the world. So this is a very, very old grand mosque built in the 8th century. A fugitive prince from the Umayyad dynasty in current-day Syria. His family was slaughtered and he managed to escape, crossed the seas, arrived here and set up this mosque as a statement that his dynasty survived. Anyway, so he set up this huge mosque. It is inspired from the Grand Mosque of Damascus because of the red and white arches. And right now, behind me, that doesn't look like a mosque. As you can see, that is a cathedral that was built inside the mosque. So when the Christians reconquered this area in I think it was the 14th century, if I'm not wrong, I may be wrong, they decided not to tear it down. So they built a cathedral inside of the Grand Mosque. So the king at the time who approved the construction of this cathedral inside the mosque later ended up regretting it and said something like, you ended up building something that could have been built anywhere, and to do so you've destroyed something that was unique in the world. But as unique as it was, it still is unique because you can't see this anywhere else. For a good reason, but you can't see this anywhere else. The end result is gorgeous, obviously. The mosque is incredible. You can just walk around forever and ever and ever. I think there's 856 of these posts and columns and arches and everything. And it's literally a square around this middle cathedral right here, which is absolutely incredible. The cathedral itself is so beautifully done. It's breathtaking, honestly. The one downside is there are a lot of groups of tourists here, kids with like school trips and so on. So if you're here, make sure you take your time because it's not too big, but it can get a bit overcrowded, I guess. Dropped right in the middle of the old mosque is a Christian choir of dark, hand-carved mahogany added when the city's conquerors built the cathedral inside the building. Behind it sits the mihrab, the mosque's spiritual heart pointing the faithful towards Mecca, lined with gold mosaics gifted by a Byzantine emperor. And finally, the treasury, where you can admire golden religious Baroque pieces. We just left the Mezquita. We are in the inner courtyard with all these orange trees. Very beautiful. Honestly, I'm in awe. I've never seen anything like this place.
It was generally stunning, very impressive. All the intricacy, all the carvings, very, very pretty.
So from an architectural standpoint, religious, historic, or even if you're into none of these things, it's definitely worth coming here because it's genuinely unique. You're not going to see anything like this anywhere else. An actual huge mosque, very beautifully done up.
Yeah, it's so grand.
In which you will find a cathedral. It feels like they just took the best of everything and put it all into one building somehow.
Yeah, it's like a clash of different elements, but they go very well together.
We're now walking into the Jewish quarter. I mean, Mezquita is essentially in the Jewish quarter. The Jewish quarter is called Judería, a collection of really old, narrow streets, whitewashed, very labyrinth-like in a way, but also very touristy. I will say that in our short contact with Córdoba so far, I have never seen as many groups of tourists anywhere else.
And large groups.
Yeah.
We've seen, I think, a group of 50.
Yeah, it's essentially basically all the people in a bus
Yeah.
with one guide.
And since the streets are so narrow, it's kind of hard to navigate.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Venice. Venice has this issue with, now not so much because I think they passed a new law, you can only have smaller groups. But over here, apparently you can come with any number of people in the group. And I will be honest, it is annoying. If you're a guy doing that, stop it.
But I have to say, I appreciate that in the Jewish quarter, the streets are so narrow and so there's shade almost everywhere.
Yeah.
So when it gets hot here in the summer, I'm guessing it's very tolerable, I guess, to enjoy the town.
You can tell I really like the Mediterranean environment because I was able to, I think for the first time ever, take a video of you flanked by an olive tree, an orange tree, and palm tree.
Ooh.
In the same shot,
Nice.
which I don't think I've ever done before or
Nice.
seen before. But this square here, unbelievable. I feel like this is where we should be. Not the square itself, but you know what I mean. Travel looks dreamy online, but the actual travel days can be a lot. Airports, planes, noise. Reality is that not every place is as quiet as rural Andalusia. For example, we're in Naples right now, and as much as we love it, it's definitely not the quietest place at night. So before bed, I've been using Somnipods 3 from Fitnexa to help reduce some of that outside noise, and they actually offer triple noise cancellation. Through the Fitnexa app, I put on relaxing sounds as part of my wind down routine. And because these are made for sleep, they're much flatter and lighter than normal earbuds. I'm a side sleeper, so regular earbuds usually press into my ear and I just end up taking them out after a few minutes. With these, I can actually lie on my side without that hard pressure, which makes them feel much more natural for sleeping.
I also get quite anxious when flying, so on the plane I use them with relaxing audio to create a calmer little bubble. They help reduce some of the cabin noise, but for me it's more about making the whole experience feel less intense.
So whether you want to improve your sleep quality, struggle with street noise when traveling, have a partner who snores, or just want to listen to your favorite podcast while lying comfortably on your side in bed, Somnipods 3 might be exactly what you're looking for. We'll leave the link in the description and pinned comment, and you can use our discount code for $10 off. And now let's go back to the vlog.
We've been walking through the Jewish quarter for about half an hour, really enjoying the beautiful street. And now we just arrived to our next destination. So we made a booking for a table for a flamenco theater. And you can also enjoy drinks and food as well. And this is our first ever flamenco theater.
So yeah, with this one that we've booked particularly, you can get different types of tickets. If you enjoy what we're gonna do and what we're gonna see next, you can book different types of tickets for lunch or dinner service, depending when you're in Córdoba.
Or just to enjoy the show, and yeah, you don't have to commit to anything.
Exactly, but still the shows are twice a day at 2:30 p.m. and at 9:30 p.m. I think, which goes on quite late, which is still early for Córdoba time, I guess.
La vida por tu amor, sin ti no sale el sol.
I'm excited.
Me too.
We ordered some a bit of food because I read online that it's better to eat quick when you arrive rather than eat during the show. And also we got a drink, and I got myself an almond salmorejo, also called a mazamora. So this is the salmorejo, the original one, because the one that we've been having so many times so far has tomatoes, which were only brought to the area by Columbus and from the Americas, basically. So this is the OG one with almonds, garlic, and olive oil, I guess, and I'm not sure what else.
And I got a very traditional chicken breast.
El bresto di pollo.
We just finished the show. I mean, not we, they finished the show. And it was incredible. I loved it, and I highly recommend you come here if you're ever around.
So flamenco originated here in Andalusia, in the Roma communities, but then also the Jewish and the Spanish communities also partook, and the Arab communities too.
Yeah, so now it's adapted, basically.
Yeah, like Laura said, it was absolutely impressive. I'm gonna give props to the guitar guy, which you didn't.
Oh, sorry. Yes, my bad.
He was also very
Sorry.
good. There are these three
Elements, basically.
integral parts exactly of flamenco: the singing, the dancing, and the guitar. And I think all of them were absolutely fantastic.
I especially love the singer. He was so theatrical
And like soulful.
and very soulful. They felt the song, and I would think the lyrics as well because I couldn't actually understand.
You would get a word here and
But
there.
yes, I would. Yes.
Price-wise, overall, it was just over 50-something euros. You saw we had some beers, some wine.
Yeah.
We had food and the show itself.
Yeah, and the location was beautiful.
Yes.
The courtyard.
Speaking of patios, that is our next destination.
Oh,
So we are obviously still in the Jewish Quarter because this is where this is set. The Jewish Quarter is a UNESCO World Heritage District, and we are now going to another UNESCO World Heritage thingy.
From the Jewish quarter, we made our way towards another of Cordoba's most famous sites, its beautiful flower-filled patios, something the city is especially known for.
This is fantastic. I love this.
Doesn't have a fountain.
I know, I was gonna say not all of them apparently have fountains, but this one is spectacular. It's so cool and shady in here.
Yeah, that's the point basically of the Andalusian courtyards. They adapted the Roman method of keeping cool in the summer, and they basically keep their homes very plain on the outside, and then the courtyard is where the actual beauty happens.
I see.
So it's a perfect combination of shade and then plants and humidity from the fountain, which keeps them very cool during summer because it gets very, very hot in Andalusia. I think it can get up to 45 degrees Celsius. Also, I forgot to say that during May there's a competition here of who has the best patio, the most beautifulest patio.
Patio flexing.
Yes. And there's actually a thing called patio hunting.
This is what we're doing.
This is what we're doing, yes. And usually during the year you can find some patios that are open, but in May there are more of them open to the public enjoyment. We also bought tickets for only €6.50 per person, which gave us access to several different patios around this part of Córdoba.
We arrived at the largest and most impressive landmark in Córdoba, the Alcázar de los Reyes Cristianos, which is right behind me, somewhere over there. And this is a place that you definitely don't want to miss when you're in Córdoba, but we have to miss it today because it's under renovation at the moment. And I've noticed that it's been like that for at least 3 months because I saw some reviews from about 3 months ago and it was still closed. They don't know when they're going to reopen. But if you're here later in 2026 or maybe 2027, definitely give it a go. This is the old royal residence from back in the Inquisition time, similar to the one in Seville, the Alcázar over there. But the real highlight is the gardens. Apparently the gardens are incredible. They're supposed to be one of the most photogenic spots in Córdoba, but I guess we'll never know. Maybe we will, but next time, definitely not now.
Quiero ser camino adorador, tu boca mi aflicción, sin ti yo moriré.
Okay, we just went into Zoco right here. This is an artisan market. The name comes from the word souk, which is obviously Arabic, and it means kind of like market, square. It's just literally really beautiful patio with some arches and a few different artisan shops.
Por tu piel, la noche enternecer, no quiere despertar. Quiero ser camino adorador, tu boca mi afición, por ti yo viviré.
We are now on our last landmark of the day. We are on Puente Romano. This is a bridge that dates back all the way to the 1st century BC, back in the Augustan times. And actually it used to be part of the Via Augusta, which connected Rome to southern Spain. But even though it's called the Roman Bridge, what we see now is not really from Roman times. It's been redone during medieval times and Renaissance later on. The bridge itself is called the Roman Bridge. And this is actually quite a metaphor of the whole of Andalusia. On one side over there we have an old Islamic tower. It used to be a defensive gate at the time. And on the other side we have Puerta del Puente, which is a Renaissance gate. So we got Renaissance, we got Islamic from the 12th century, and then we got the Roman Bridge, all in one place. And this is one of the prime spots for sunset if you are in Córdoba.
On our way to dinner, we passed by an equestrian show and got to briefly see the beautiful horses before sitting down outside for some traditional tapas.
We are off back to the parking lot to grab the car, going back to our accommodation. This was our Córdoba part of this vlog. Stay tuned for tomorrow. We are off to a really cool spot, not far from Córdoba. We haven't seen it so far on social media too much.
Quite impressive, yeah.
I'm quite excited for that one.
Especially if you're a Game of Thrones fans.
Exactly. And we'll also show you around our very beautiful, unique accommodation because it's unique. It's exactly that, it's unique. Good morning from the accommodation. We are out on our terrace with breakfast.
I love the orange juice here in Andalusia. It's the best I've ever had. Ooh.
Incredible view again, and super serene. The sun is out, even though it's quite chilly outside. This is genuinely the definition of slow right here.
Yes.
Every morning, they bring you breakfast here at your hut. So the breakfast is not luxurious or anything. It's just really good basic stuff.
Now there's a bit of background noise because they're doing works on another hut, I think.
Yeah.
But usually it's super, super quiet and serene, and it's just nature all around.
And later this afternoon, we're going out for a drive. It's not a long drive, but we do want to discover one of the most beautiful shooting locations for Game of Thrones. Well, not just because of that. It's actually a really beautiful spot anyway,
And
regardless of Game of
Yeah,
Thrones.
it's stunning, it's very imposing, and yeah, want to check that out.
All right, let's see what breakfast.
Being true fans of Game of Thrones.
Yes, up until almost the end.
Yes, I didn't appreciate the ending. For our stay near Córdoba, we checked into La Dehesa Experience, a high-end glamping retreat surrounded by nature with beautiful luxury tents set in the middle of the countryside. This felt more like a modern apartment than a tent. Inside, we had a huge king-size bed, a living room area with a sofa and TV, a full kitchen with a stove and fridge, a dining table, and even plenty of drinks already waiting for us in the fridge. One of our favorite details was the bathtub, which was almost built into the living space. The design throughout was very modern, warm, and really tastefully done. Outside, we had the large private terrace with our own pool, and the views over the Dehesa were incredible. Peaceful forests all around us, and every now and then little glimpses of cows, sheep, or donkeys wandering nearby.
Not us roaming through the hills of Andalusia. Hey, let me see this. That was so cute. I filmed the lambs. They were all lying down in a line, sort of like 6 or 7 of them in the shade. Really cute. And then one of the big sheep came to one of the lambs, started kicking it, and then he stood up and moved away so she can lie down. We are leaving the accommodation. We're getting in the car and driving to Almodóvar del Río. This is a small village about an hour and a bit away from us. At the edge of the village, we'll find Castillo Almodóvar del Río, which is super well known in the area, very beautiful, and obviously was a part of the set for Game of Thrones, but actually does have a really interesting history, and we hope we can actually do a tour, which is why we left a bit later, because again, this one is closed between lunch and dinner.
Yeah. And apparently the road that leads to the castle is very, very beautiful. So I'm excited to see that as well.
We've been walking around here trying to see the animals. So we've got chickens. We just saw the donkey, and I think there's a horse far away there, but we can't film it.
What was the
too
donkey's
far.
name?
Curro, I think. There's loads of sheep.
And cows. And cows.
And cows, yes. We actually saw a lot of the cows earlier. But this whole area, it's called Dehesa. It's this sort of ecosystem, beautiful landscape of pastures and agricultural land, and sort of like a combo with the forest.
Sure.
that guy, honestly.
Sure, that's enough.
So it's the prime spot where they grow Iberian pigs for jamón ibérico, the best kind there is. This whole area, this whole landscape, not just here, but hundreds of square kilometers. You can only find this in Andalusia, I think one other region in Spain and in Portugal, and nowhere else.
Yeah, so we did this sort of glamping in Bali. And I do appreciate this one more because it's enclosed.
Yeah.
So when you go to bed, everything,
You have peace of mind.
you have peace of mind that there's no bugs or anything. And I slept really, really well. And it's so nice to see nature just by sitting on your bed. Yeah, so there's a lot of these sort of glamping tents around here. But you're very isolated, so you don't really see anyone. So we parked the car right below the castle, but I saw a few cars driving right up to the castle. So there might be a parking lot there as well, but we decided to walk because it's very, very nice outside and we want to enjoy a bit of ambience and nature.
We're just doing a bit of cardio on the way to the castle.
And that, yes. And also the view is actually more stunning from below. So
Isn't it?
we get a lot of angles from
Look at
here.
this.
Yeah.
This is insane.
Yeah. So this castle is very old. It was built in the 8th century during the Muslim rule, and it ended up being in complete ruins by the 1900s, and it was later restored.
Yeah, it took 35 years and 800 people to restore it. And actually it looks incredible right now. Part of the newer crowd of people that comes here is because of how well it looked in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And actually they filmed a lot of Game of Thrones in this area, obviously in Sevilla, in Real Alcázar, where we went. Also, close to Sevilla, there's a small town called Italica, which is full of Roman ruins, and they use that for the dragon pit scenes at the end of the season, I think around season 7, I think, like right at the end of the show. But leaving that aside, the actual history of it is at least as interesting, if not more interesting. And seeing this, it would have been an incredible thing even without the Game of Thrones lore, I guess.
Yeah. In Game of Thrones, this castle belonged to the house Tyrell.
Yes,
So,
in Highgarden.
in Highgarden, yeah.
So this, not only does it have this really, really fantastic position up on the hill, it used to overlook the traffic on the river Guadalquivir, the one crossing through Sevilla as well. So back in the day, it had this function, but then at some point it became a royal palace as well, a royal castle for King Pedro I, and also a prison at some point. We have views over the village right next to the castle. This is the village with the same name, Almodóvar del Río. Whitewashed as well, like most of the villages in this area. Turns out that air hockey was a medieval thing. Who knew? Laura rushed up on the castle walls to defend us. So over here it says Game of Thrones invasion of House Lannister army to Highgarden.
And it's Olena.
Oh yeah, that's Olena, but where's the... Oh, this balcony. Oh, right here. That's cool. And
I
over
think
here...
we should do a rewatch.
I think so too,
'Cause I
right?
forgot a lot of stuff.
So I'm hiding now in the Tower of Highgarden apparently. Amazing views from here. Not quite 360, but kind of almost. You get to see most of the castle from up here and also everywhere around. You actually had a really good view over the river, so you understand why they were controlling the traffic on the river like that. Okay, so that was totally worth it. It's very well kept, very straightforward.
It's actually like a movie set. It's so
It is.
well preserved.
Yeah.
And it's very, very imposing. It's a better experience that I would have expected.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're around Córdoba, give this place a go. Even if you're around Sevilla, it's really not that far. It's a couple of hours, well, less than a couple of hours. We made it back home. We are on our terrace. We just ordered some dinner from the property here, from the stay. We really enjoyed filming our vlog here in this area. Cordoba was great. Today we had a really good time just taking it slow, and the castle was a really nice touch that we didn't expect.
And finally, the weather is looking up, and I can really appreciate the Spanish Andalusian experience with plenty of sun.
Yeah, it was about time.
Yes.
So we're just gonna have dinner here, and while we do that, we'll leave you with some images from our other very unique stay here in this very same property. I think you'll really like that because that is truly unique.
Yes.
This is great. It's gorgeous, and I think actually this is considered higher tier
Yes.
than the other one, but that is truly unique.
This is glamping. That one is something else.
For the last part of our stay, we moved into a really unique glass-fronted suite, more like a luxury capsule in the middle of nature, with its own private terrace and pool overlooking the Dehesa. Inside, we had a king-size bed, a small living area with a sofa, a full kitchen with everything we needed, and a bright bathroom with both a shower and a bathtub. And despite the see-through walls, the whole place felt incredibly private, with peaceful views of the forest all around us. And that brings us to the end of our time in Cordoba and the beautiful region around it. We really hope you enjoyed this vlog. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one where we continue our journey in Ronda and the surrounding area.